Gary Clausen. Well, if you're in the Bay Area and you're in boating, you probably know Gary. Gary's been around for many years, and he'll fill you in a little bit more on that. He owns and runs Twin Rivers Marine Insurance. They're up in, where are you, Gary?
Antioch.
Are you on?
Trying. Get me on, Johnny.
Oh, now I got you.
Here we are. Here we are.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. So you're up where, Pittsburgh?
No, beautiful downtown Antioch at the Antioch Arena, on the San Joaquin River.
All right. And Gary's been in this business for a few years.
30 something.
30
no.
few.
Let's see. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Started when I was in high school, and I just got out.
Give us a quick little rundown of your history and how you ended up starting Twin Rivers and, where we're at now.
You got it. Thank you very much, Wayne. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Boy, it's been a great show so far and amazing. And
Thanks, Gary. Working hard on it.
Yeah, man, it's great. So, and I didn't have to put up a tent or park the car or schlep all the stuff into the booth. Anyway,
and you didn't give away pens either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my costs are low.
Speaking of that, before we get too far, Gary is giving away $100 gift certificate to KKMI. So you want to give one away?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, all right. So here's a certificate. I think you guys see that. Whoops, I don't know which way to hold it. So yeah, let's give this away. Gary's been really gracious, and he works a lot with KKMI. They're our partners, one of our boat yards, and he's giving away 5 of these. So we're going to give one away right now. We're going to pick somebody from random. How about Maureen Felt? So Maureen, you just won a $100 gift certificate to KKMI. We will be sending this out to you. So we'll contact you if we don't have your email. Then make sure you get a hold of us.
Congratulations, Maureen.
And if you're not local, you can't use it, let us know. We'll give you another prize, and we'll switch this over to somebody else.
We'll figure it out. No big deal.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no big deal.
All right. Cool. So, Gary, tell me about insurance.
Well, it's part of the puzzle, the whole entire puzzle. And I really think that the best time to start talking about insurance is when you're thinking about buying a boat or just thinking about boats. It's a real simple process, but take the time so we can explain to you exactly what it is that we need from you as far as information to be able to put this all together and go out into the marketplace. Our agency, Twin Rivers, does business with many, many companies. So, we shop the market for you for the most comprehensive policy at the most competitive price. It's not all about money. It's about being at the right price with the right kind of coverage, because there are boat policies out there that don't have all the same coverage. I think one of the things we should talk about is underwriting to start. What's an underwriter looking for? You go out and you buy a car, you call your auto insurance person, and they write a policy and you're all done. Same goes for a home or a rental policy. When a boat comes along, we want to talk about, well, what kind of experience have you had? Or maybe you haven't, and we can talk about what we can do to help you get to the point with experience, buy your boat, get you in the boat, and help you with training. So let's just start with that to begin. If you are a previous boat owner, we'll talk about what it was that you owned. Underwriters are looking for ownership experience. They're looking for hands-on experience, even with your friends. But they do have some requirements that are pretty stiff, but we've been able to figure out ways to help folks into policies so that they can be boating just like the next person and learn while they own their boat. So what we have done is we put together these programs with many companies that they typically want to see a person not making more than a 10-foot jump from the boat that they've owned to the boat that they're going to purchase. Well, that's going to put a little kink in things if we've never owned a boat. But let's say we have that desire and we've been through, talk about sailboats, ASA classes, and you find a boat that you like, and we provide you with quotes after we've secured your experience and come back to you with terms. And the terms will state that if you have not owned a boat, or you're making more than a 10-foot jump from the boat that you've owned to the boat that you're purchasing, 12 is going to make it. It's not that critical, but we're flexible. So the underwriters will allow us to write a policy based on the fact that the insured will spend time with the training captain. How much time? Everybody's learning curve is different. So we'll start out with some sort of a suggestion of how many hours when we get to see somebody's resume. The underwriters will work with us on that. But minimally, if I own a 28-foot boat and I'm buying a 42-foot Catalina or a 42-foot powerboat, most training captains have training sessions that are somewhere between 12 to 20 hours of hands-on training. And you don't do that all in one day. They have a lot of coverage that they go through. It's more to just driving the boat, obviously. It's understanding the systems of the boat. And I think so far in your boat show that you've already talked about maintenance, ownership, it goes on and on. So what the training captain will do for you is start off with the basics, get away from the dock, take you out. And while you're out, they're going to talk about navigation, weather, currents, winds, systems, electronics, maintenance. Everybody needs to know about maintenance because part of a policy is maintaining your vessel properly. Otherwise, you could have a loss that isn't covered. Those exclusions in yacht policies are very simple. These are all risk policies. And if they're the policy that is all risk, which they all are, means that in the event that a loss occurs and the loss that it did occur is caused by lack of maintenance, wear and tear, gradual deterioration, you didn't follow the law, then there's an opportunity for a policy to exclude coverage. So all of these companies have exclusions. It's understanding what those exclusions are all about. And if you don't maintain your boat properly, boat sinks, you don't change your hoses, goes down, we raise the boat, get it on the hard, they find out that this was a problem, they're going to exclude coverage. So that's why understanding maintenance of a vessel is real important. And if you don't want to maintain the vessel on your own, but you do want to understand it, there's plenty of services out there that can help you. They'll go to your boat, they'll take care of your maintenance, tell you what you need. And that's where that marine survey comes in, because that is all part of the puzzle when you go to buy a boat.
Yeah, let's talk about that marine survey because that is always a concern after we go through a new boat purchase. You got a survey and you have all these different items that you have to fix or not fix. What does insurance company think about that?
Well, what they're looking for is, I'm going right on back to what I just stated, was lack of maintenance, because that's the big one. So you have a survey. The surveyors typically put these recommendations, as they call their items, they call for deficiencies of the vessel. They put them in categories typically, and there's critical, there's, and all marine surveyors have different ideas of how they label these different categories, but there's critical items that need to be addressed right away for the safety of the vessel and the seaworthiness of the vessel, hoses. And then there's going to be items that you need to take care of in a timely fashion. But those items that should be taken care of in a timely fashion could be a loss, if they aren't fixed, that would negate any coverage. So it's important to understand what it is that keeps that boat safe. And again, your surveyor will help you with that. So you purchase this boat. The survey has recommendations. Some are critical, some are get it done as soon as possible. And you buy the boat, you own the boat, now you start working on the recommendations. The policy is in effect, and we give you some time to get through this. it doesn't give you a free ride that if a loss occurs because one of these deficiencies cause a claim in this short period of time, 45 days or so, to get these recommendations taken care of. It's just, we're going to stay on top of the fact that you need to take care of these items. We'd be glad to review with you what items you should consider taking care of in a timely fashion. And that's part of our service as good agents, marine agents that understand boats, and we all do. That's important.
That is important. How about reg surveys? You know, we hear all sorts of things about whether an insurance company requires a rig survey, how old the rig is, if the rig is a certain age, it has to be replaced. How does insurance companies look at that?
Well, you know, a rig is just as important as the hull and machinery, as just as important as the systems, as the mechanical survey that's going to occur too. I really think that all three of those should be a part of any purchase of a vessel, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, we agree.
The rig survey, whether the boat is 5 years old or 50 years old, I think is something that should come into play, because you really don't know when it comes to the components of the standing rigging, if something has been damaged because of whatever, or a faulty part, a swedge is bad, a fitting is bad. So an aloft rig inspection, which is a few $100s compared to what your exposure is personally, if that rig comes down, I think is well worth its money to purchase that rig survey. As far as the underwriters are concerned, they would like to know the condition of the vessel when the rig, the standing rigging, is in excess of 14 years of age. So we don't know. It's a 1981 vessel. Well, has the standing rigging ever been replaced? Well, hopefully that the broker might have asked if that had occurred in the past when they listed the vessel for sale. If not, it's not a problem. And then an aloft rig inspection can occur, and that will get to the bottom of any sort of, you know, problems or deficiencies that standing rigging might have. The standing rigging survey is also going to talk about the running rigging, which is, you know, part of the puzzle. And so, again, I hope I've answered your question on that. It's something that's important. And whether there's a receipt or an aloft rig inspection, that's what the underwriters are looking for.
So if the rig is 20 years old, you do a rig inspection, the rigger says, yeah, the rig looks good, but it's 20 years old. Will the insurance company call that and say, you got to replace the rig? Or if there's nothing wrong with it other than it's 20 years old, then it's okay?
That's the right answer. Good marine underwriters, along with good marine agents, understand that a rig can be 20 years old and it doesn't need to be condemned. The point is we want to know if there are any deficiencies on the standing rigging. When they go aloft, they'll be able to tell. So just because it's 20 years old doesn't mean it needs to be condemned as far as we're concerned. But an individual might have a different opinion. A rigger might have a different opinion, and a lot of riggers would say that it is, in my opinion, if the rig is over 20 years of age, it needs to be replaced.
We usually hear them at 10 years.
Well, and
I think they want some business.
Well, that's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
But certainly, we've also seen rig inspections where they go up the rig and they actually find things. Even with a 5-year-old rig, they can find things. So rig inspections are definitely important. The marine surveyors, they'll inspect the rig at deck level, but they won't go aloft. So to get that aloft inspection, you do need a rig surveyor.
There's plenty of them out there. They're Johnny on the spot, and most riggers are always willing to write an inspection for you.
Yeah, and you're right. It's like $300 usually for a good rig inspection.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So let's see. How about if we bought a boat over in Florida and we want to bring it back here?
Well, there's two ways to get in the boat here, isn't there?
Yeah.
Well,
Can't fly it.
There's really three. There's trucking it, on deck cargo, bringing it through the ditch and north from Panama to the West Coast, which that happens, not very often, but it does happen. I most recently had a 92 footer move from Jacksonville. They brought it on their own bottom, and the boat currently is in Eureka today, and it's a 1961 custom built steel hulled motor yacht. And that's the hard way, because if you'd have put that on a cargo ship, that would probably cost somewhere in the $70,000 to $80,000 range for cargo coverage. As far as on deck cargo, just to move the boat, the cargo ship company will provide you with cargo coverage while a vessel is on the boat. But I would highly recommend that you talk about a specific cargo policy from a cargo carrier, and we can certainly help you with that. I most recently ran into a cargo policy from a shipper by way of ship. That their cargo policy was, as far as I was concerned, and the underwriters that I work with is concerned, was a little insufficient. So, you can dig deep into this, but I think the more layers of coverage that you have when somebody else is in the care and custody of your vessel, the better off you are in protecting your investment. So let's say we take this 42-foot Catalina or this 42-foot Riviera, and if you could, well, I don't think I'd call it another boat, because you need to be able to take the boat apart because of height, and put it on a truck and have it move across country. The trucker will provide you with some primary coverage from their insurance company. We call it cargo coverage while it's in the care and custody of the trucker. And then what we provide is another policy in excess of their policy, which takes over the loss if their policy doesn't act correctly. They don't know about marine repairs, so we jump in the middle of it, and we're talking about a minimal amount of additional premium to protect your investment, as we say, bouncing all the way across the country. It's always a good idea when the boat comes off the truck trailer to possibly have an offload survey performed, just to check to make sure that there isn't hidden damage by that boat sitting on that trailer all the way across the country. So there's a few ways to get your boat from the East Coast to the West Coast. Check into cargo freight coverage on a truck. And I always like to say, look real hard on the West Coast before you go to the East. But that's not a problem.
Yeah, good. Let's talk a little about the specifics of the policy and what does it mean, hull and machinery and personal effects and things like that.
Marine policies have different line items on them, and they're talking about coverages on the vessel. We're going to call the vessel the hull and machinery, which is the boat, which is the machinery, the motor, and those policies are all risk policies. And we talked about that already. Unless it's excluded, it's covered. All of those perils are. And then next line item that you'll find in a yacht policy is going to be some personal effects. So personal effects are loose items on board the boat you use in conjunction with the vessel that you carry on and off of the vessel: rods, reels, tackle boxes, clothing. Hull and machinery coverage is going to include electronics, anything attached to the boat, anchors, chains, dock lines, fenders, protective coverings. That hull and machinery value of whatever it is, $100,000, for example, will have a deductible, and those deductibles typically are assigned in percentages of the insured amount of the boat. So a vessel that might be 14 years of age and younger might have a 1% deductible, or a 2% deductible when we get to a 15-year-old boat, or possibly a 2% deductible for that not owner experienced insured that is making a large jump. So the next item after personal property is going to be medical payments. That's going to take care of your guests. I get on board your boat, I get hurt. My own hospitalization plan is going to take care of my needs if I get hurt on your boat. But you can be guaranteed that my health plan will come back to your insurance policy to be paid back for something they're really not responsible for. I break a knee, I break a hip, a couple $100,000 at the hospital. Again, that's what the medical payments are going to start with. Medical payments are usually 5, 10, 20,000, 25,000, 50,000 in line items. But then what's going to take over when those medical payments are not sufficient and something happens severe, I broke a hip, broke an arm, then the liability portion of the policy is always going to protect you, the insured, if there's bodily injury. I got hurt on board your boat. Again, my hospitalization company is going to take care of my needs, but they will come back to the yacht policy and want to be paid back. Also, within the liability portion of the policy is going to have coverage for property damage to other people's property. You come into the marina, you slide down the side of my 50-foot boat, put a scratch in it, $150,000, $200,000 new paint job. That's property damage covered under the P&I liability. Now you notice I said P&I liability. That's different than regular liability. P&I liability is true marine form liability. That also contains salvage and wreck removal costs. A liability policy like your automobile insurance company providing you liability on your boat does not contain salvage and wreck removal inside the liability. So therefore, you have a $25,000 salvage bill, you're insured with your auto insurance company, $100,000 boat, you're going to pay the salvage bill out of the hull and machinery section, which is going to deplete your total loss funds. That's why you want a real marine policy. So when the boat burns, heaven forbid, but it does happen, and the boat goes down and the salvage bill is $40,000, we're going to pay that out of the P&I liability. And that boat, which was a total loss in that fire, we're not going to deplete your total loss funds. We're going to pay the agreed amount of the policy. So again, P&I liability contains salvage, wreck removal, bodily injury, property damage. And when you call and talk to us, we'll go a little deeper into what other coverages inside of liability. Well, I'll touch on that, for example. Longshoremen and Harbors Act. Your part-time, daytime worker comes on board your boat, gets hurt, he's covered under your policy. There's also coverage that you can purchase for Jones Act. So you hire a captain. The captain's going to train you. We're going to provide you with Jones Act on your policy, and that is marine work comp for the captain if he gets hurt. So again, it's important to have a true marine policy. Another line item on the policy is going to emergency service coverage. Towing. You have a mechanical breakdown. You're away from safe harbor. You need to be towed. You have no wind. You got to get in somehow. So you call Towboat US, for example. They bring you in. This is a line item that will reimburse you. We always highly recommend that you buy Towboat US, the membership, so it's much more comprehensive and almost 100% coverage, almost. And we can certainly help explain the cost of that, less than $200 a year, and what their coverage is all about when we talk about the policy. Another line item, yes?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Another line item on the policy is going to be dinghies, tenders. You have a small boat used in conjunction with a big boat, stored on and around the big boat, it's automatically covered under the policy. And then there's other ways of maybe endorsing your policy for something that's a little more specific, a larger dinghy, a bigger motor, but it's not a problem. Or maybe a trailer for the dinghy because you put it in storage in the wintertime. And the last line item is going to be pollution liability. Pollution liability is going to take care of the fuel spill. And in today's world, it's typically $997,100 worth of coverage. Do you need that? That's a lot of money for cleanup. No, you don't need that. That just happens to be the 1990 Pollution Cleanup Act that marine policies contained. And that is the maximum amount that you as a private pleasure boater will ever be responsible for in the event that there is a fuel spill cleanup. A 40-foot power boat and a fuel spill cleanup could be $50,000, $60,000. So next item on the policy is going to be navigational areas. I might as well keep going, right, Wayne?
Yeah, keep on going.
All right, all right. Everybody has a limit. You can't just go out the gate and hang a left. You know, you have a limit to work with based on what do you want? What do you need? What is your experience? So typically a navigational area for Southern California might be Point Conception to the north, which is just north of Ventura, Santa Barbara, and all the way down to Rio Santo Tomas, which is just south of Ensenada a bit. Northern California, Bodega Head to the north, points are to the south. So those are the navigational restricted areas that you would stay in, San Francisco Bay and tributary, of course. Each company has different ideas of how many miles offshore that they want you to go, but you're pretty safe with all of them. And of course, you get up north, you get up into Portland, you get into the Pacific Northwest, it just changes. A lot of companies offer the whole entire West Coast, including Southeast Alaska on a seasonal basis. A lot of time folks want to go to Mexico. Well, we'll certainly be happy to talk about that. It's available. A lot of folks want to go around the world. We can certainly help. We will refer you to somebody. That's a tough one.
So when somebody's wanting to go cruising, go down to Mexico, and they already have insurance for a local area, you guys rewrite the policy, or is it just a rider on the policy? And what kind of money are you talking additional to do something like that?
So if we're going to go to Mexico, and there's two different conversations we're going to have here. One is your experience, who's going with you, and we present that to the underwriter. We're also going to want to talk about, are you going to go to Mexico and go down and come back? You're going to do the ha-ha. You're going to go down to Puerto Vallarta and come back. Are you going to be back by June 1st? Hurricane season, Western United States is June 1 through 11/1, south of Rio Santo Tomas. Some companies don't want to be in Mexico on a full-time basis during hurricane season. So depending on who we have you with in the first place, we might have to move the policy to another company. So if that is in the plan down the road, we always like to talk about it right up front. What are your navigational requirements in your future? Let's talk about a couple of years.
All right. How about live aboard insurance?
That's not a problem. You know, some folks stay on board their boat 3 days a week. They might work in the city, and maybe they stay on their boat 5 days a week, and they travel back home to an inland city, and they live there on the weekend, or they live on board their boat on a full-time basis. Not all companies want to participate in that, but we do have companies that have no problem with somebody living on board their boat. They do have certain requirements as far as length, value, experience, condition, of course, is always going to come into play. So, but you know, it's a conversation we'd be happy to have.
All right, cool. Well, let's give away a gift certificate.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So how about Greg Taroque? Looks like Greg's been on for a while. So Greg, you just won a $100 gift certificate for KKMI from Twin Rivers Marine Insurance. Thanks so much, Greg. We look forward to you using that certificate. We're getting down towards our last few minutes here. We got any other questions for Gary? Anybody? Gary, you want to tell us a quick story?
Well, let's not talk about insurance. Let's talk about how fun boating is.
Yeah, especially during these times.
I'll make this a brief story. I've been boating since I was a kid, like many of us have. My father was in the boat business in the 50s here in town, as a matter of fact. And we always had a boat. It was like, that's where we went. And so when I was in high school, I was going to school in Minnesota, and I ended up in the boat business there on the St. Croix River, working at a marina and hauling boats and doing all those things, you know, pumping gas and fixing things. And as I got into college, I got in the bottom cleaning business at a marina in Long Beach that I was working at for many years, and ended up leaving there eventually and being in manufacturing, building boats, and being on the road selling hardware and selling boats and being a yacht broker, and you know, just to continue on about my history, you know, in the late 80s, I had an opportunity to get in the marine insurance business, and that's where I've been ever since. 97, we opened up Twin Rivers Marine Insurance, and well, we're 23 years old and take care of thousands and thousands of people, and we have a wonderful staff. We're all very friendly and just want to help everybody have a safe boating experience. And speaking of safe boating experiences, we can all go safe boating in this pandemic that we're all experiencing. It's real easy. Go down to the boat. Go wrench on the boat. Clean the boat. I most recently have had a couple of boats sink in the last few days. And I think we all need to visit our boat. Check the dock lines. Check the through hulls. Do some maintenance. Make sure things are okay. How's the power cord? So those are just some quick items that I would highly recommend you taking a look at. So, and if you ever want to just talk about boating, or, you know, where can I get my boat fixed, or just insurance, give us all a call. We'll talk to you all day long. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gary. This has been really good. Gary's up at Twin Rivers Marine Insurance. What's your phone number up there, Gary?
1-800-259-5701. You can visit us on the web at boatinsuranceonly.com.
And how about an email address?
Gary@boatinsuranceonly.com.
All right, there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed that show. We sure did. Thanks so much, Gary. It's been great. And certainly keep Gary in mind for insurance or any questions you have for him. Go ahead and give him a call. He's a great resource.
We're all standing by waiting to hear from you.
All right. Thanks.